Alright, so today what we're going to do is talk about Code Veronica and go over the kind of remake discussion with the game, because I know a lot of people want a remake of Code Veronica, and it seems like the next remake is going to maybe be 5, but I do want to talk about Code Veronica myself and give my own thoughts on the game. A lot of you that watched my channel do know I'm not a big fan of Code Veronica. I do appreciate why people like the game, but for me it just never really clicked. I don't know why, like, I really couldn't put my finger on why. I have a couple issues with the game that bug me, but in terms of how it plays and stuff, it's just like any other RE game, but for me, it just didn't really kind of connect, for whatever reason. So I do kind of want to go over my issues with the game and what I think would be an issue with the game if it was to be remade. But yeah, without any further ado, let's just get into the video. So Code Veronica is a massively popular game with a lot of people in the community, and it's always weird to kind of be the person who doesn't like the game as much as everyone else. And the reasons behind that are probably because of a lot of the things that happen in the game and some of the gameplay aspects of the game. First of all, Claire, Chris and Wesker being in the game fully carries the game. Like, all of those characters are great, and there's more development for those characters, which is really good to see. A couple of the side characters could really just not exist. I think Steve is probably the most annoying character in any of the games, and that is really saying something, because I think Original 4 Ashley did my head in so much more. But his character, his voice, the things he does, he's just weird. And I do appreciate that he has like a sad arc in the game and he does kind of sacrifice himself. But at the same time, you know, I just didn't like him at all. That's just my kind of opinion on the guy. I didn't like his character at all. I think if he was to be included in the remake, which he obviously would be, because he's such a big part of the original, they would have to change him slightly, because of things he does and says. But at the end of the day, it's a thing of its time. They'll change it. They change things in 4, so they'll change things in Code Veronica as well. Another thing that I think would probably be a bit questionable to bring to a modern remake of the game is how they kind of portray Ashford in the game. Obviously it's twins, but you know, for the first chunk of the game it's just Alfred, and he kind of does just dress up as his sister, and I think that would go down poorly with a remake, especially like nowadays. I think it would cause a lot of divisive opinions, and especially with the way that the characters reacted to it back then as well, I think it would cause problems. At the same time, there is the whole conversation around Resident Evil 5 being difficult to remake, because apparently the game was shown as racist, which I don't really think is true at all. But again, both games have these weird issues that would definitely cause some kind of talk nowadays. So they both have their own issues, I guess, when it comes to remakes. In terms of the gameplay though itself, I think the controls are very jarring. I think out of all of the games people want remade, even this one needs the more attention, because obviously Resident Evil 5 and 4 are more modern, and they do have tank controls, but they don't control anywhere near as bad as Code Veronica does on the PS2. Holy shit, it took me some getting used to get used to that, and it was very annoying to do. There were certain boss fights in certain areas in the game where, because of the controls, it was so annoying to like maneuver and dodge them that I just started getting really annoyed. But again, I think if it's time, they'll obviously change it to be more modernized. They'll obviously make it play like RE4, probably, which isn't a big issue, but it is definitely a thing of its time. And in terms of the positives, the game is fine. Again, Claire, Chris, Wesker being in the game really does carry it. I think the development for those characters in this game is really well done. I like Claire as a character. I really like Chris, and Wesker is obviously like the big bad of like the first few games, so he's definitely welcome to be reintroduced into the games. And especially with them bringing him back in the 4 remake, I definitely think it's good to have a Code Veronica remake on the table, because it does flesh out Wesker even more so. And obviously the original game got remade before, and people do want to see that come back as well, but I don't think they'll remake the remake, to be honest. Either way, having Wesker back and being able to flesh out his character more for newer players is a good thing, and Code Veronica is a big part of his kind of backstory, so I guess it does, in a sense, make sense to kind of tell that side of the story. With Claire as well, she's not in many games at the moment. Obviously she's in RE2, Code Veronica, Revelations 2, as well as a couple of animations, and she's not really been used. Chris has been overdone, I think. He's in 7 and 8, he's in, you know, a lot of the mainline games, and of course, if 5 gets remade, it'll be Chris again. So maybe, with that being said, you know, like, bringing Claire back to the forefront and remaking Code Veronica would be good, because a lot of people do like her character, and she's just not really in any of the modern games at the moment. But in terms of kind of what I think they'll do, I do kind of want to see RE5 more. That's just me, because I like RE5. I really like RE5. But at the same time, I can kind of see that Code Veronica needs the treatment more than 5 does. Like, 5 is very much still playable nowadays, and Code Veronica, there's not a lot of people out there, especially nowadays, that appreciate the old controls. I didn't like how it played in Code Veronica, but I have played the original games, and I think they play fine. So I don't know what it was about Code Veronica controls-wise that threw me off, but it really did. So it definitely does need more of a revamp than 5 ever will, because 5 still looks good, 5 still plays good, it's still fun to play with friends, and Code Veronica's just been kind of left on the side. It didn't even get like any kind of treatment really. It got a port to PS4, and it is literally just a PS2 version, so it is in dire need of help. But I think whichever way you look at it, I don't think they're going to happen soon, whether it's 5 or this, or a completely different game in the series. I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. 4 just came out, and they've got DLC coming for it with separate ways and stuff like that. And I definitely think that after 4, we'll probably see a new entry. Whether that's 9 or a different game, I don't know. But I definitely think we'll see a newer game before another remake, because they are, as good as all the remakes are, there's a lot of them now, and I definitely think they need to kind of release a new game before another remake, but we'll have to see what they decide to do. But regardless, let me know your thoughts on Code Veronica in the comments below. Do you like the game? Do you not like the game? Do you have kind of like no real opinion on the game? Do you want to see this remade over 5? Do you want to see a different game remade over both of them? Let me know. But as always, thank you all for watching. Remember to leave a like on the video if you did enjoy, and subscribe for more Resident Evil content, and I'll catch you in the next one.